question should be asked, how do we avoid this situation? Well, in my view, we can only do so through massive investment in all sectors of the economy. And so I will now put on my investor cap and ask questions which my brother Kwabena would ask. Given that I have a choice in where I put my money, what would I like to see in my country to make it the preferred destination for the next AC Mall? Every investor has a choice. Every investor is nomadic. They will go to where the greener pasture is. So I'm asking you, if you are an investor, what would you like to see in a Ghanaian business environment which will make you want to put your capital here? We are all, quite rightly, celebrating the good news of Ghana being chosen as the host of the Africa Free Trade Secretariat. And the government should, quite rightly, be commended for this remarkable development. However, let me just say, we can only realize the full benefits if we become the most competitive economy on the continent. I'm afraid, sadly, we are nowhere there. We have a lot of work to do to attain these status. Indeed, a research and advisory firm, Confident, just yesterday reported that Ghana fell short on almost all the AFCFTA competitive indicators. These are cost of credit, cost of power, productive capacity, customs efficiency, trade logistics, and dependency on foreign inputs. Investment promotion, ladies and gentlemen, is like a beauty pageant. The reward goes to the country which is adjudged to be the most attractive as an investment destination. What conditions create the conducive environment for investment in any country? I'm sure you'll be asking. Well, let us look at our situation. One of the key considerations for investment is governance. And since 1992, we have elected governments to steer our affairs. But the very nature of our democratic setup, in my view, is our undoing. The three arms of government are like a tripod. For stability, each leg must have enough strength to stand. In our system, one leg, the executive, has more strength than the other two combined. In fact, the two seem to derive their strength from that of the executive. That's weakening checks and balances. Any party that comes to power has absolute power to do whatever they want. The 1992 Constitution is the basis for the current democratic dispensation. It created a monstrous executive which looms large over the other arms of governance structure. And for 28 years, we have failed to make any meaningful changes to strengthen our democracy. Actually, what we have, if you pardon me to say so, is an executocracy, not democracy. The president is supposed to appoint the majority of his ministers from parliament. So you and I, by definition, that makes parliament a rubber stamp, because no MP in the ruling party will be able to stand up and demand accountability from the executive. They are all scrambling for positions. The judiciary is no different. The president has a determining role in the appointment of all the judges of the Supreme Court, including the Chief Justice. This festers the perception that the situation compromises the impartiality and the independence of the judiciary. Indeed, the last section of the citizenry believe that the judiciary is not impartial, with 85% of Ghanaians in a recent Afrobarometer survey perceiving the judiciary as corrupt and ineffective. My own personal experience with the judiciary is that of frustration, lengthy and costly proceedings. Some lawyers take pride in being masters of legal gymnastics. Every opportunity to delay cases are seized upon. The commercial courts, which were set up to speed up the dispensation of justice, have become a huge disappointment. Disputes involving land overwhelm the courts. Land acquisition is the most important factor, but now I will tell you, in investment decision making. Any prolonged litigation over land frustrates any investor. Indeed, it has been said that the enclave that houses the Lands Commission, Lands Evaluation, and Title Registry, these registries, is arguably the most corrupt enclave in the world.